I've been asked to do a review of architecture. I'm looking at a snapshot in time. I'm looking back in time, I'm looking forward in time. I'm looking where architecture and the built environment, and it is both, are today. We've broken it down into 4 themes, and there's a 5th sub-theme. Economic growth, education, heritage, and then the final one is design quality and how we achieve better buildings, better environment, better streets. The hidden agenda is, should there be an architecture policy?
We are in a situation where we've got big financial problems because central government has reduced the amount of funding that's coming to local government, which means that expertise, whether it's in-house or out-house, is being pared down.
To bring architecture and design into the educational system, it's got to be part of the national curriculum. And then once it's in, you've got to get people like Richard Rogers, Terry Farrell, Norman Foster, and then the next generation of architects like Simon Alford and others. And then on the design front, you've got to get people like Jonathan Ive over from Apple, Mark Newson, get them into the schools. And I don't mean the exclusive private schools, I mean the general schools, whether they be private sector or public sector.
If you look at how long it's taken to, educate us about food in Britain, that's kind of 20 odd years and we're still going, and design will take even longer. How government does that at the same time as promoting maths, science and literature, and how Sir Terry's sort of review addresses that issue, I think will be one of the key points that he picked up on, and how he takes this debate on and sort of feeds that into his review will be really, really interesting.
I'm interested in the software of architecture. Before we even put pen to paper, we think about how do we create mixed uses, how do we create social cohesion, how do we create a destination. So we think about the needs and about the qualities of a place before what it looks like. In schools, on programs, we start to think about the software of architecture, the need rather than the look. We're on to a winner.
So what we need to design is community. It's not just a design for a sales market. So if we design a communal space, it's got to be space that's used, not just on a brochure to sell a unit in Hong Kong. It's space that we want people to use. The communal space, we want outside space. The top of the buildings, for example, all the top of our towers are dedicated to communal space. Outside garden space and inside communal space. Therefore, the design of the whole building is fundamentally important to retain the tenant. Retain the tenant retains the value of our asset.
Design adds to the quality of life, well-being indicators, and also good for economic investment in terms of making places that people actually want to do business in, they want to visit, and they also want to live in.
If you have good design, good architecture, volume, light, character, it's a win-win from everybody's point of view, culturally and commercially.
It is down to skills though in the end. You do need people in local authorities who have some education in design, who can tell people about it and who are articulate about it. If you don't have the skills, you're never going to persuade developers to up the ante, and you're certainly not going to be able to persuade your councillors to accept the opinions that you have about design.
I would like to think that the last 10, 15 years it has come of age. Development, design, architecture is very different. Even heritage is very different. How do we mark that in this point in time and go forward so that we're better as a nation, we're more effective, we put greater value on these things?
Of starting a debate, really solid debate about what we want to be as a society and how we fund what we want. So everything doesn't come down to a value engineering question, and we're prepared to fund quality architecture, fund the process that enables us to get there, and to shape our spaces in between the buildings so that we all feel as though we belong there and we feel good about where we live and where we work.
Once again, it's been a really interesting discussion around the table with an amazing cross-section of people involved in and with views on design. But I do have a concern. I've just come back from Manchester, where I went up to the Conservative Party conference for the first time, and everybody's talking about house building, getting the numbers up, how we're going to build enough houses for people, but design just didn't feature on the agenda at all. So we're going to have to work pretty hard to get design up there with house building.